Yeah, my name's Tom. I'm the Creative and Operations Director here at 2Cubed. We are a marketing agency specialising in online video and digital marketing. We've been operating for just over 5 years now. And the reason why we've sort of joined up and done this is because we've actually done a considerable amount of work with the third sector. We actually were, the people behind C's brand new shiny website. But if there's any problems, it's not my fault. We do a wide range of stuff, everything from managing social media channels to producing online video to producing physical comms, helping people with PR, all that sort of stuff, a lot of design work and things like that. But the purpose of today's session is to hopefully give you some guidance and point you in the right direction so that you can get ready for video. I have a slide deck that I've prepared, so hopefully I can share my screen now. Let me start the slide because that will probably be of benefit. We want to share. Now, the question is this going to work? Can you see Zoom or can you see my slide deck? That's what I want to know. Can see the slide deck, okay. There should be a picture of a random bloke on the screen that you're all thinking, who the hell is this? And I just need to double check actually, because I want you all to be able to hear, because there's going to be a couple of videos, because what would a presentation webinar about video be without utilizing some videos? So without further ado, I'm going to play this and hopefully everything works and it is seamless as I had planned and intended. And of course it skips just to the next slide. Here we go.
I'm Toby from 2Cubed Creative. In this episode, we're going to look at how video can be more powerful than text. This is the NBA official rulebook for basketball. Thanks, Evan. It carefully describes how a game of basketball is played, from how to score the most points to how long a game lasts. It's over 50 pages of detailed information which breaks down everything about basketball that can be put onto paper. But there's something about basketball that 50 pages can't communicate. A video speaks to people in a way that a block of text simply can't. A video enables you to take those moments and those ideas and really tell the story. Here, let me show you. If you have any questions about video, tweet us at 2CubeCreate with the hashtag #WhyVideo. For any more information, check out 2cube.co/whyvideo.
Quick end to that because it's got our old branding on it. We made that video about 3 years ago now as part of a series that we created called Why Video, because about 3 years ago, believe it or not, video was still considered a nice to have and something that you shouldn't actually be putting any money or any resource behind. But actually, as you've seen over the past few years, video has actually now become the forefront of social media. And at the end of the day, a video speaks to people in a way that a block of text simply can't. You can write a million blog posts, you can send a million tweets, but actually, if you can create a video that is short, punchy, engaging, insightful, entertaining, informative, then you've already achieved everything that you could possibly have achieved with that text. So video is everywhere. It is literally the core of most social media platforms. And social media platforms are where you as social enterprises need to focus a lot of your attention. And the reason why I suggest that is because they're all free. They're all free to utilize, and there's no excuse for you to not jump on them. However, there is a caveat to that, and there's no point in signing up to Snapchat, for example, because yes, Snapchat still exists and people do still use it. I saw a funny tweet actually that was something like, Snapchat's only used by drug dealers and something else, and it just made me chuckle, because Snapchat has now sort of pushed its way from being this really important social media platform to something that's actually not so much in the forefront anymore, and not something that, you know, many people utilize. But as I was saying, videos across all of these social media platforms, but that's not your reason to sign up to all of those social media platforms. You need to go to the social media platform where your audience are most likely to be. So, you know, if you're looking to engage with people who are sort of early teenagers, then you're probably looking at places like TikTok and Instagram. If you're looking at, you know, young adults, then you might consider going to Twitter and to YouTube. And then if you're looking for that slightly older audience, and I say older, but you're looking at sort of like 30 plus, then Facebook and Twitter are probably the two key platforms that you want to utilize and take advantage of. So the question, why video, is really quite simply answered. And, you know, we used to absolutely love relying on stats, because stats are an incredibly powerful way of getting that sort of clear, concise message across. 78% of people watch online videos every single week. So that's people who are using the internet. They are watching videos every single week. And there's kind of a reason for that, because those social media algorithms that are all across these sites actually favor video, especially ones like TikTok, YouTube and Snapchat, because they are obviously only video. But Facebook, really, really heavy on that video. If you're uploading a video, then you're more likely to reach that broader, wider audience. And Facebook have a couple of tips when you go to upload a video as to what you can do to achieve the greatest results. You know, uploading a video in over 3 minutes in length, adding a suitable title, adding a description, adding those tags, all those things that will help you get that video seen by as many people as possible. So 78% of people watch online videos every single week, but more impressive than that is that 55% of people watch online videos every single day. I have no doubt that there are many people watching this webinar that will go home, or you're all at home, most of you will probably be at home, and you'll go onto Twitter, you'll go onto Facebook, and I almost guarantee that within a couple of scrolls you will see a video, and you'll see a video that you go, oh, that looks interesting, I'll click on that and I'll watch that. No, I have no doubt that will happen. There are a couple of other little stats that I just want to throw at you just to really drive home why you should be using video. Users on YouTube watch more than 1 billion hours of video every single day. According to Incivia, viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in a video, compared to just 10% when they're reading it in text. Again, that goes back to that first video that we sort of watched, that actually video is the best way to convey that information. Social media posts with video have 48% more views, according to the Marketing Helpline. And that's incredible. Like, so just having a video on your social media posts drives up that viewership, drives up that engagement, because, you know, and sometimes you see videos that are on a tweet and you think, what has that video actually got to do with, you know, this organization or this message that they're saying? But the trick to that, the trick that they're using, the trick that they have used successfully that got so many people to engage, is that they've included a video. That video has caught your eye. You've gone, oh, that looks visually stimulating. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to watch that. And that's the trick to it. 68% of people said that they were more interested in a product after seeing it in a Facebook story, according to Marketing Land. So again, there's that whole other element of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter are now launching a new stories feature as well. So that's another thing to add to the list of content that you've got to create for. All of these platforms have those story functions, and those story functions are generally speaking what most people will go to first, especially on Instagram, because it's right at the top of the page. It's what most people click on for that up-to-date current information, that exciting content that disappears within 24 hours. So you've got to watch it now or you're going to miss it forever. And according to a Buffer survey, Buffer is a social media scheduling platform, 81% of businesses now prefer to use Facebook for their video marketing. So as I was saying at the beginning, you know, Facebook is now a platform that is really heavily pushing that video content. Social media algorithms prefer video. YouTube, which may be a surprise, may not be a surprise, is actually the second biggest search platform, following obviously the top dog Google. Obviously there's a bit of a monopoly happening there because Google own YouTube. But if you want to find something, I almost guarantee again that all of you will go to Google, and if there's a video suggestion, which happens more often than you think, you'll click on that video. That will take you through to YouTube. Next thing you know, you're watching cat videos 10 hours later. There's no escaping it. So video is quite clearly a very powerful tool. You're probably all aware of that, and that's probably why you're all on this call, because you know that now's the time that you want to start taking advantage of producing that video content. So a question you may be asking yourself is, what can I use video for? There's lots of ways that you can approach how you can utilize video, and more often than not, it needs a bit of reflection from yourselves, but also a reflection upon your audience as well. So ask questions about, you know, what your audience like to watch. Maybe, like, for example, social media is a brilliant place to do this, because you can follow who your audience are following and see what they're engaging with, see the type of content that they're looking at, get those ideas, spark your imagination, spark that creativity to help you fuel those ideas for future videos. How often do they watch videos? Are they watching them daily? Because that gives you, again, that impetus to, okay, I need to produce a video every week. I need to produce one every month, every day, every couple of days, so on and so forth. Have they bought something or engaged with something after they've seen the video? Did they watch the video and then go on to somebody else's website, sign up for a newsletter, something like that? There's all sorts of questions that are really, really crucial before you just go out there and pick up your phone or pick up a camera and shoot a video. And we'll get onto that in a little bit more detail in a little bit. So we like to break the key use cases for video into 5 categories: to engage, to update, to inspire, to inform, or to entertain. Now, you can either do one of those things from that list, or you can try and encompass as many of them into your video idea as possible. I would probably urge you not to try and do that, because if you're trying to do that, then you might miss the mark and you might miss a bit of a trick. So I would pick one of those from the list and give yourself that sort of, okay, right, this video, I want to update my audience. Update's the easiest one. It's the most straightforward one that anybody can do. And that could be, a video that, you pick up your camera and you tell them what you've been up to during coronavirus, what changes have happened to your services, how people can get in touch with you, that sort of thing. Because although you may not think that that is the most exciting video, as I was saying earlier, someone will see a video, see your smiling face, and they'll click on that video to watch that because they already have that connection with you. If they don't already have that connection with you, video is an incredible way to help you build trust and share those updates with your audience. One of the things that video really enables you to do that, pictures and blog posts, for example, don't really allow, is they don't let you truly show off your personality. So before we really started doing our Why video series about 4 or so years ago, we never really got in front of the camera. We were always the guys behind the camera. We, kept safe and in our little safe space behind the camera. But we created that series because we wanted to push ourselves into those uncomfortable positions. Because I have no doubt, and looking at some of your responses to the questions when you signed up for this webinar, is that getting in front of the camera is actually the more challenging part. It's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people, but it is something that you can learn. It's something that you can learn a few skills and really sort of come into your own and sort of evolve your personality, because the first video that you produce will probably be terrible. It's, a 1 in 10 chance of you producing your first video and it being outstanding. But that's not a reason to stop you. That should be more of an impetus to go, right, I need to do another one. I do need to do another one. I need to do another one. Because, even watching that video, when I was putting together this presentation, I thought, how can I show that? And I thought, oh, we've got those videos that we use. And even watching that, I think, God, we could have done so much better than that. And there's going to be a video of me later. And yeah, when you watch that, then we can all sort of have a chuckle and sort of send some critical feedback, constructive feedback, not critical, sorry. So video enables you to build trust and share updates with your audience, but it also allows you to reinforce who you and your brand are and why people should come to you. One of the questions was asking something along the lines of, how can you help, how can you use video to help bring customers to you and sort of say that your product or service is the best? The reality is that you can't use video to do that. You can't use video to fake it, no matter how much you try, unless you've got a huge budget and a great marketing team and, a lot of resource to put behind it, then you're likely to fake it. But the reality is that you need a good product or service in the first place, which I have no doubt that you will deliver and achieve, to help you to really, well, your personality then helps to reinforce that brand, that product, that service that you're offering. And as I said, it lets you showcase your personality. Because in most instances, like with our business, for example, there's only a few of us here, and it's our personalities that help us sell, help us get more business, help us increase our clientele, things like that. Because people will relate to a person more than they will relate to a brand. Unless, like you've got brands like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, things like that, that have existed for 50, 60, hundreds of years, and they've had a lot of time, resource, big budget marketing teams involved in helping to create that brand, that identity that resonates with so many people. However, us small guys, we don't have that tool belt. We don't have, the big budget. We don't have the marketing team. We don't have all of that. So we've got to utilize ourselves as best we can to help sell our products, our services. People want to see video. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. People want to see video. That is what people are after. At the end of the day, there is no avoiding it. Video is easy to watch, it's easy to share, it's easy to get your point across, and it's easy to make. Now, that last point is the point that you're probably going, is it easy to make? Is it? I don't really know. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure that I believe that. Is Tom really going to tell us how to do that? I truly believe that it is easy to make. And I'm not saying that because I'm a professional who does it day in, day out. I'm saying that because, we've hosted many training courses that people go away with, and people then go and produce their own content that in more cases than you would imagine, we look at and we go, bloody hell, that's pretty good. We're really impressed with that. And it's easy to make, but there's always a caveat. There is always a caveat. Video strategy is vital. don't just go out, pick your phone up and shoot a video and hope that you're going to get 1 million views with it, or that you're going to become viral with it, because it doesn't work like that. There is a science to going viral. I'm not going to even touch on that because I don't think that that's something that you guys should be focusing on at this point. But video strategy is vital. There's got to be purpose behind the videos that you're creating. So we have broken it down into sort of a 5-step process for creating your video strategy. So this is before you're even picking up a camera. This is the steps that you need to take before you even consider picking up that camera and starting that. Creating a video strategy helps you to create a clear and defined path for your video content. So you're not just picking up the camera and hoping for the best. It's you've got a strategy, a plan in place, so you know what you're going to be what you're going to be producing, when you're going to be producing it, why you're going to be producing it, who it's going to, all that sort of stuff. Because preparation creates better results. We've got a little plaque on the wall over there that says planning and pre-production creates better results, because we always drive that into ourselves, that there's no good just, you know, accepting a really vague brief off of a client and going and shooting it and hoping that you're going to create a good video, because it doesn't work like that. We always will go into too much detail, because too much detail is where you need to be to ensure that you're creating video that is, you know, top drawer. Creating this video strategy helps you to gives you a better opportunity to create more meaningful and more engaging content for your audience, because at the end of the day, people want to see video, but they want to see good video. And good, when I say good video, I don't necessarily mean that it's, you know, high quality, shot in 4K, all these glamorous effects, color grading, audio, all that sort of stuff. I just mean a good story to that video. And creating this video strategy will speed up the process. It takes the time to get that video strategy in place, but once it's in place, it means that you can then jump ahead and be prepared for everything that's coming. So step 1, and I'm going to whiz through these. I'll give you as much detail as I possibly can. But step 1 is, what is your goal? What are you hoping to achieve from your video? Are you looking to make more sales, boost your brand awareness, get new people to sign up to your mailing list, grow your audience, encourage people to sign up to a service or something along those lines, sell more products, encourage your audience to use those services, not just sign up to them? And that's something that you should start with. Understand why you're going to be producing that video. What is the goal of that video? What are you hoping to achieve by creating that video? Or it may be that series of videos, just so that we're not sort of limiting it to just one video. Next, you've really got to understand, who are your audience? This is something that a lot of people often forget, and they spend a lot of time producing a video that they think is really, really great. You know, they're really proud of it. It looks great. They share it to their board. Their board are like, wow, this is amazing. I absolutely love this. And then they share it on social media and it flops. And it flops because they didn't spend the time understanding who their audience are and why their audience matters so much. So by defining your audience, you can better tailor your content. Think about the, you know, simple things. So demographics, where are they based? What are they interested in? How old are they? Are they male or female? How often do they use the platform that you're going to share the video on? What's their income? Do they have a family? Are they employed, unemployed? The list goes on, but they're things that, you know, you might think, actually, what does that information, what value is that information going to bring to me? But actually, that's the information that can make or break your video. Because if, you know, you've got an audience that is primarily female and they like cats, there's no point in you know, producing that video that is tailored towards men and is all about dogs, because that video is not going to succeed to your audience. It's not going to help you achieve that goal that you set out previously. So you've got to pay attention to that. And most social media platforms all have insight tools that you should take full advantage of. It can be a bit sort of what's the word I want to use? It can be a bit of a minefield in so far as when you look at those insights, you look at it and you go, wow, what does this actually all mean? What does this translate to? But I would always start with the sort of the basics. So that's their age, their gender, their location, and how long they use that platform for, or what device they're using, for example. So whether they're on their phone more often or on their desktop or things like that. And they're things that you can start with, but I would encourage you to look for those sort of more detailed insight and analytics tools. If you've got a website and you're using Google Analytics, there's so much information that you can gain from that. You can tell from that how long somebody sits on your website, if they click on more than one page, if they get halfway through the checkout process and then leave the page, if they are using a VPN, if they're coming from Russia, if they're you know, on a Mac or on a PC or anything like that. And that information, although it seems like irrelevant nonsense potentially, it's actually the information that could help you achieve better results with your videos. So define your audience. That's basically the crux of it. Next step, we would always encourage you to understand what stage of the journey are they on. You may be thinking, what does that mean? I often think that as well, but it's the buying journey. It's the journey of them going, oh, I think I like that product. I think I'm going to buy that. I'm going to go and have a look at different shops. I'm going to purchase that product. So consider what stage of the journey your audience are on. Are they in the early stages of looking for a product or service where they're looking at multiple different places, or are they whittling down their options to choose where they're going to purchase that product or service from? Or, you know, are they a brand new person? Have they just happened to stumble across your page because somebody with a large amount of followers has retweeted you and they've just stumbled across your page? You've got to put the right content in the right place to ensure that you're targeting the right people on that journey. That's a quick one. I'll come back if there's any other questions that you've got on that one. What are you going to say? So obviously with a video, the idea is that you also talk in that video. However, you don't necessarily have to talk in that video. That video that I showed you at the beginning, there was a bit of talking, but then there was also a segment where there was no talking, just visuals and music, which can work. And if that suits your organization, if that suits the goal of your message and suits the audience who are going to watch it, then go ahead and do that. But you need to understand what you're going to say. What's your call to action? What are you going to do that will actually trigger that goal, make that goal happen? It's crucial to spend time thinking about this message and what you want to convey is, because that's the purpose of the video. Are you trying to sell a product? Are you trying to boost your services, or are you offering a discount to people perhaps? Think about the call to action, because a video without a call to action isn't really worth spending your time on. What result do you want to see that is easily trackable? And that's something that you've also got to consider, because it's all very well producing a video and thinking that, oh yeah, we did that video, then we saw a sale. But can you actually track that? Because that's where the true value comes in. With a lot of, well, with most marketing now, it's all about data. And without that data, there's no value. So make sure that you're capturing that data. Is it something that's trackable? So from producing the video, you can see we included that offer, that discount code, and then we saw 10 sales that utilize that discount code. That's where the value is. Promoting people, hang on, let me just, so remember that you don't always have to have that call to action. So although I said that it's really important, you don't necessarily have it. But if you want to track those goals, and if your goal is based on something that is reliant on that data, then you've got to have it in there. But as I said, you can have a video that is just a nice to have and is, you know, potentially you hosted an event and you just want to showcase the event. But what you've also got to think is that although you're, you know, that video is a nice to have and you're just showcasing that event, What that video could also be used for is when you host your next event, you then bring that video back into the mold, and you're using that video that shows this really happy event, really successful, lots of people, lots of smiles, lots of laughter, to help sell your next event and get more people to attend your next event or class or whatever it may be. You know, video can also be simple things like a customer testimonial to help build trust with individuals. It could be a how-to guide to reinforce that you as an individual, you as an organization know what you're talking about, or it can be those promotional videos to encourage sales. So after you've discovered what it is that you're going to say, what the content of that video is going to be, where are you going to share that video? Now, this might not be something that you think is particularly important, but it is incredibly important. So thinking about where you're going to be sharing that video before you start production can be a lifesaver. If you know that it's going to go on Instagram and you're going to use it as a story, for example, then take the time to make sure that you're shooting that video in the right format. So as an example, it's my phone. Instead of shooting the video like that, you would shoot it like that. Simple little things that you might not think about, but actually make the big difference when it comes to putting that video on the platform. Duration is also important. So if you're looking to share a video over, I think it's 2.5 minutes at the moment, then Twitter is not your platform because you can't upload a video over 2.5 minutes on Twitter. But what you could do is put that video on YouTube and then share it through Twitter. If you're putting it on Facebook, like I said at the top of the webinar, look at sharing a video that's over 3 minutes. Again, you can share a video that's shorter. However, if you're posting a video that is over 3 minutes, then Facebook's algorithm will help boost that up people's newsfeed so that you're in the forefront. People see that video. And then Instagram, I think Instagram currently has a limit for your grid post of 60 or 90 seconds. And then anything above that, it goes into an IGTV video, which still appears on your grid, but it's a whole different process. And then TikTok, you've got a minute, or you've got 15 and 30 seconds. And the same sort of premise goes for Instagram Reels, which again is something that is really, really popular now, has really, really taken off, and is something that, if your audience are there, is something that you should consider to help boost your engagement, boost your following, to help you then drive more sales and encourage people to sign up to your services, products, etc. The list goes on. So they're the 5 key areas that you should consider when you're creating that video strategy. But how are you going to make that video a reality? There's also something that I also want to touch on, which I almost forgot, which is quite important, is that when you're considering where you're going to share that video, if you're going to be uploading it directly to Twitter or to Facebook, then you should probably consider adding captions to it, because some ridiculous percentage, and it's one that I didn't write down, of people watch videos on social media do not have the sound on. So if you've got a talking head and you don't have captions, people are just going to scroll past it because they're not going to watch that video with the sound on. So that's something that is really, really crucial and something that you should really think about before you post that video. So how are you going to make the video? Tips and tricks for shooting on mobile, because I am almost certain that everybody on this call will have a mobile phone of some description. I hope so anyway. Tip number 1, take advantage of natural light. Too often do we see people shooting a video where there's no windows or they're in a really small pokey room and there's no natural light. Natural light is the greatest thing, especially when it comes to phone cameras, because they have a relatively low aperture, which means that they don't let in a ton of light. So utilizing that natural light, that natural brightness, will really, really help to get a crisper, cleaner picture. Invest in a tripod. It doesn't have to be all singing, all dancing. It can be a bare basic tripod, but if you're going to be doing any sort of talking videos, then I would suggest that you get yourself a tripod. You can get a tripod that has a little phone mount on it. Just thinking if I've got one to hand, which of course I don't. But you can get a little mount that you basically clip your phone into, you put it on top of the tripod. Hey presto, you've got a steady shot instead of relying on somebody to hold it still. We still work with clients who insist on not using a tripod, and it just means that we have to do a lot of processing to the image to try and make it look semi-stable and that you don't feel seasick after watching it. Find a quiet spot. Easier said than done, I know. However, finding a quiet spot can really help to benefit you and the video. If you're working or trying to shoot a video in a loud office environment and you've got somebody talking, it's going to sound terrible. And audio is often the thing that people forget about, especially if you're doing a talking head. They just hope that it will sound okay, but actually the video looks beautiful, but the sound is terrible. They still share it and they don't get that great response that they were hoping to achieve. So finding that quiet spot can be of great benefit. You can also get external microphones for your camera. They're relatively inexpensive. You're looking at probably just under the £100 mark. But if you're planning on shooting a lot of video, then I would probably think about investing in something like that. Frame your shots like a pro. Too often do we see people shooting a video and they've shot it and they're really close up to the camera, or they're over here and they're talking to somebody who's off this side of the camera and you've got all of this empty space over here. Or you see they're down in the bottom corner, there's loads of space around them, or they're, you're cutting off the top of their head, things like that. And there's a really simple framing technique that most camera phones, in fact, have it on, and some of you may already be using it. And if you are, then that fills me with joy. This grid should hopefully look relatively familiar to people, but this grid is the basis of the rule of thirds. What I might actually do, question is, can I annotate on here? Is it going to let me? Yes, look at that. Can you see the annotation? Hopefully you can. So let me just go back a slide because I appear to have jumped ahead. So, okay, let me try this. So this is the rule of thirds. The general rule of thumb is that, and you're going to have to forgive my crude drawing here. General rule of thumb is that you set the eye line. Oh, crikey. Here we go. Let's get a nice smile. You set the eye line on that top line. Generally speaking, you can, well, there's sort of, if you've set the eye line there, then you're already onto a winner. I would probably encourage you to put a person in the frame. However, here we go. Let me just get rid of that. If you're shooting an interviewer and the interviewer's over the right-hand side of the frame, or behind the camera on the right-hand side, then I would encourage you to, oh, they've got a bit of a love heart shaped face. I would encourage you to position them on the left-hand side of the frame so that their eye line is pointing this way, so that when they're talking to the person, it makes sense. So they're talking across the camera. You're giving them, this is what's called leading space. So having this space here makes sense because that is empty space where you envisage that, the person is there. And if you look at any interview, that is generally speaking how they will set it up. Again, you can also position them on the other side. I'm not even going to draw the face there. If you're shooting landscape stuff and you're taking advantage of the beautiful scenery because that's really important to your organization's aims and activities, then these lines can still come in handy. So I would always suggest that you set the horizon down on this bottom line here. Then you've got your beautiful, here we go, let's try and draw a sunset. Yeah, I mean it's blue, but we all get the point. There's the sunset. It's not an eyelash, and here's the sea or whatever it may be. So you've got the horizon on that bottom line, just so you're not missing any of that action. However, if you are shooting on a hill or something like that, and you've got people running around, here's my person running around. Let's draw another one. Ooh, a bit small. Then I would position the horizon on that top line. Thank you for the laughter there, appreciate that. I would position them on the top line and then take advantage of these other lines here for key parts in your scenery. So it may well be that, you know, there's a tree here that looks really, really nice. Or, you know, you've got half of a building in shot here. Maybe that's your offices or, you know, where you host your meetings or something like that. But take advantage of those lines to help guide you and make your shots actually look like a professional has shot them. Again, we can come back to this and I can do some more crude drawings for you if you so desire. So let's go through some do's and don'ts, primarily don'ts. Oh, hang on. There we go. Don't shoot against a window. Whatever you do, do not shoot with a window in your background, like what I'm doing right now, because it shouldn't work. If you've got natural light, use it and position yourself so that the natural light is either, you know, coming across from one side or it's in front of you. So you're lighting your face so that your face is nice and bright. I've actually got two windows here, so, you know, all can be forgiven. But do not shoot, for the love of God, please don't shoot against a window because it looks terrible. You end up having this really washed out background, or if you accidentally click on the background, you end up having a really dark person in the foreground and it looks terrible. Don't shoot in a dark corridor. Find a good location, please. Take advantage of the spaces that you have around you. Don't find a pokey small room or a small dark corridor because it will look terrible and you can do so much better, I know it. Think about your backdrop. Again, it's something that you might not necessarily pay attention to. Use the rule of thirds to help frame up your backdrop, help frame your individual, your talent in the center, wherever it may be. But think about your backdrop. Can you put anything in the background to help drive home who you are, what you're about? I very carefully put a camera in my background. You probably can't see it because of the wood, but I put a camera there because we do film stuff, we do video stuff, so it makes sense for me to have a camera in the background. There's all sorts of little things like that that you might think people don't notice, but actually they're the things that people do notice, and they are more appreciative of seeing those little, what's known as like an Easter egg in the background, because it drives home why people should trust you, why you're, you know, helps to reinforce your brand, helps to reinforce the work that you're doing, those things. So that's something that take a little bit of time to think about. And finally, relax, especially if you're the one being in front of the camera, because more often than not, people think way too much about being in front of the camera. And by thinking about it too much, it ends up with a very rigid and wooden delivery. Which it's not going to help anybody. And actually what will probably happen is you'll watch it back and you'll go, no, I hate that. Don't want anybody to see that. Let's delete it. So relax, don't think about it. If you can get away with not scripting anything, then do that. Don't script anything. Just have your key points that you know that you want to touch on, that you know you want to talk about, and run with them. Like today, I've got like 3 sheets of paper here with information on. I've glanced down at it a couple of times, but actually it's much better to just talk, just hope that what you say makes some form of sense. And the wonder with shooting a video is you can watch it back and you can go, actually I need to redo that part, and you can chop and change it. So one more video to watch, and this one has got me doing the air quotes. So let's watch this video.
Part of the reason we started this series was to practice being in front of camera. In this episode, we're going to share a few of our tips of being comfortable in front of the lens. We spend most of our lives behind the camera, telling people to act natural and relax, pretend like the camera isn't there. We decided with this series that it was time to put ourselves in the spotlight. These are a few of our tips for feeling more comfortable in front of the camera. Tip number 1 is all about temperature. It may not be something that you immediately think about, but the temperature of the room that you're filming in is really, really important. If it's too hot, you're going to be sweaty, you're going to be uncomfortable. And if it's an interview situation, you're not going to be answering the questions in the best way that you possibly could. If it's too cool, you're probably going to have the same sort of responses. Tip number 2 is all about pace. Remember to just slow down. People have a habit of getting in front of the camera and then talking really, really quickly so they can't really understand what they're trying to say. Just remember, slow down. Take time to think. Pause even. If you need to think about the question, take that time. Don't feel like you have to do it and you have to do it now. The camera is a person. Tip number 4, subject matter considered, be yourself. People have a tendency to show this alter ego character who is very scripted and sounds like a robot. It doesn't work. Just be yourself, be natural, take time and think about how you would actually want to answer that question and how you would want to be heard. Tip number 5 is all about takes. You're in control. If you don't like what you said, get the interviewer to ask the question again. If you don't, no, I'm gonna do take 3. Tip number 5 is all about takes. You're in control of what you're saying. If you think about it and you don't really like what you're saying, do another take. The interviewer can ask you the question again. Get the interviewer to ask the question again, no problems. No. Tip number 5 is all about takes. You're in control of what you say. If the interviewer asks you a question and the way you answer it doesn't quite come across how you wanted it to, get them to ask it again. If you've got any more questions on video, tweet us at 2CubeCreate with the hashtag #WhyVideo.
Right, that's enough of that. 2 of me in 1 meeting is too much of me as far as I'm concerned. But they're 5 simple tips that you can go watch that on our YouTube channel. Just search for 2Cube Creative on YouTube. Second biggest search engine. Did you know that? Should have done a quiz really, shouldn't I? Yeah, find us and have a look. Though, as I said, those videos were produced a couple of years ago, but we still use them now because actually they're quite an incredible tool to have. And you know, that reinforces again why you should be utilizing video, because even if you make something a couple of years ago, it can actually still be a valuable tool in your tool belt to have later on as time sort of progresses. So the final step to producing a video is post-production. I'm very cautious, aware of the time, so I'm sort of going to fly through this bit a little bit, because the reality is that I can't go into detail about post-production as much as I would like to, because we need like a whole other hour, if not more, to do so. However, I can point you in the right direction for some tools that you can use that are free to download, and that you can actually utilize on your mobile phones. So you can use, on the left is iMovie and on the right is Adobe Rush. They're both free apps that you can download on your phone. If you're using an iPhone, I'd say go for iMovie. If you're using an Android, I'd say go for Adobe Rush. But sometimes an edit isn't even necessary. Sometimes you can shoot a video on your phone and you can edit the video within the sort of the photo browsers. You can trim off the beginning, trim off the end, and share that video. And sometimes that's all you need. And actually, in some instances, that's even more powerful. And that's something that you should use to your advantage. But sometimes adding in some well-designed graphics can really help to, you know, make that video look super professional. If you captured different takes like I had in that video, helping you put those together, that software can help you to do that. And if you've got a different angle, so perhaps you filmed the interview once and you had the camera in front of the person, and then the next shot you had the camera pointing at slightly different angles, so you had a different perspective. Utilizing those just to bring that video to life can be incredibly powerful. Sometimes adding a music track can also help. Both of those platforms actually have a number of free music tracks that you can utilize and add as background music. One thing I would be cautious of, and this is just because I make videos for a living, but I can hear when somebody's used a free music track from one of these programs, because they're really obvious. They're your sort of standard cheesy, tacky, copyright-free music, but sometimes actually that's all you need. And I'm not putting them down at all, because actually some of them are really, really good music tracks. But that's just me. And again, think about where you're sharing that video. Make sure that you export it and edit it in the right video format for the platform that you're going to be sharing it on. So we also provide video production training, and we do it for social enterprises. I think on our website it says £52, but today, and today only, it's £50 per person. Whoa, £2.50 saving. It's outrageous. But we're offering that for £50 per person. The video production training is what I would encourage you to do if you're still thinking, maybe I need a little bit more. I realise that there's a cost involved, but there's a cost involved for a reason, because that £50 is a whole day session where it's not just about, you know, talking at you, it's we're getting you to do the work. We're getting you to run through from concept to creating the strategy, to starting the pre-production, to doing the production, to doing the post-production. So we normally create a concept for you to take away, or for you to work with on the day, so that you can actually work through it yourself with us, but actually at the end of the day have produced something that you can share on your social media platforms. So it's not just, you know, a jolly, it's actually I mean, it's a jolly because, you know, we're good fun, we have good fun, but it's something that you can actually use, and you can get a video out of it at the end of the day, which we think is incredibly valuable. So I'm going to end it there. Remember, create content that your audience wants to see. I'm more than happy now to answer any questions that I missed, or any questions that you would like answering. If you want to see some more crude drawings, just let me know. I'm more than happy to throw up some more crude drawings. But yeah, I'd love to answer your questions.
Thanks, Tom. That was brilliant. Any questions? Because I know quite a few of you had questions when you registered. Rhiannon's put her hand up.
Thanks, Tom. I laughed so much. That was brilliant.
Good,
you didn't get to see it, so I must share. There's so much laughter. So when you're talking about music that you can get for free, say for example like InShot, and that comes across that it's part of where the app and where you've got it from. When you're working with other musicians, what do you have to consider with regards to copyright? So say for example, if a musician copied another person's music, so they were the person that had the license. Do they then, when they say use on their video, because I don't understand all the licensing and the copyright, I think it's just a minefield.
So licensing and copywriting is a minefield. It's not simple, it's not easy. What we use a platform called Storyblocks, and Storyblocks, they have a subscription. I think for the music alone, I think it's something like £99 for a year.
Okay.
And that license basically gives you access to a library full of tens of thousands of songs that are all copyright free, that you can download and you can use them as many times. So you only need the license for 1 year, but you can use them forever if you needed to. I would always err on the side of caution in terms of using like a cover of a really popular song, unless you know the artist who's done it and you've seek their permission to utilize it. But if your video does happen to go viral and it has a cover of a song from an artist, that artist can then potentially kick up a storm and you know, ask for some form of licensing fee for that. So I would say try and use as much original music as possible, or take advantage of those copyright-free music libraries. And actually, in actual fact, YouTube also has a library of copyright-free music. So if you're probably better off Googling YouTube copyright-free music, and you'll find an extensive list of free music that you can take advantage of.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jane, you're on mute. You're on mute, Jane. I can see you talking.
Useless. There we are. I was going to say, someone, Simon and Sue just said about there's royalty-free music for videos via patreon.com. Not heard of that one.
Patreon.com. Yeah, so patreon.com. There's so Patreon, generally speaking, you sign up and you subscribe, you pay a fee to a creator, and then you can utilize their assets that they've created.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? I couldn't believe what a great offer you've given to everyone of the £50 per person. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, there you go. What can you say? Joe, go on. I saw your hand up. Sorry, James.
Yeah, I haven't actually got a question. I just want to say it's really interesting and thank you very much. I've got to go. I just didn't want to disappear.
Okay.
I do think I want to take advantage of your great offer, but how does that? You said it was, you know, today only. I know you were being humorous.
Oh no, it's not today only. Yeah, you can come to us whenever you want with that. We will honour that deal. So yeah, there's no time limit to that.
Okay, lovely. All right. Well, thanks very much, and I've got to take my leave. But cheers.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Any other questions from anyone? No, silence. Okay, well, thank you.
Nobody wants more drawing.
Oh my God, I got one question, but I don't want it to be like a one-person show, but it would be amazing to ask one more question if that was okay. So with, like you were talking about Instagram and YouTube, so I've been looking at YouTube where it says if it's over 10 minutes, then people can get that monetized at a later point.
Yeah.
Is that something that is desirable? Because I think in terms of like adverts that come into videos, it can sometimes feel a bit soulless, but do you see things going that way in terms of starting early in content and direction?
So in terms of monetizing videos, it's not quite as simple as, you know, just uploading a long video. You have to have over 1,000 subscribers. You have to have a certain engagement rate, and there's all sorts of criteria that come with that. Yeah. Personally, I don't think adverts are actually that much of a big deal. I think if you want to utilize YouTube as a place to earn revenue, then strive for that, aim towards that, definitely. But at the end of the day, if you doing that takes away from the core purpose of your group, your organization, then I wouldn't consider it. Unless it's something that fits in quite nicely, that, you know, having a YouTube channel and sharing regular content and dedicating a lot of time to that makes sense, then do so. But otherwise, it's not as simple as, you know, just ticking a box saying, put an advert here.
Thank you.
That's it. That's okay. You're welcome.
We've had a couple of comments in the chat, which, Simon said is very true actually, about the rules videos are just as important when appearing on Zoom meetings.
Yep.
Such as remembering to unmute yourself. And other such, Any other questions?
I'm just gonna flick back to that document that you sent me, Jane, just to see if there's anything that I can sort of quickly talk about. So hopefully I've given you some ideas as to what apps you can take advantage of. Use the built-in camera, and then you can use just, you know, the Photos app on your phone, or you can take advantage of iMovie or Adobe Rush. They're really, really powerful tools. And what I would say is YouTube, again, second biggest platform, search engine. Take advantage of the resources that are on there, because you'll be able to find tutorials for all of those apps that will help you gain sort of a better understanding as to how to use them to your advantage. And then, somebody's put about better ideas of creating videos. And I think that's something that we we spend a fair portion of time in our training session talking about that sort of thing. So I think because it needs that more time, it needs a bit more detail for us to properly understand an organization to help give those ideas, and sort of, because we normally like to give like a list of 10 fallback ideas, 10 sort of topics that people can fall back onto if they can't think of what content they want to share. And that's something that I would try and encourage you guys to do as well. and yeah, have sort of that safety net of topics that you can talk about, that if you can't think of something, you've got that reserve, that backup.
Yeah, great tips. I just wanted to say to everyone also, giving you a plug, Tom, because Tom's really, really experienced with the social enterprise charity sector, and you also work at the is it the Chelmsford?
Yes, yeah, I still do some stuff there, yeah.
So if you're looking for someone who is really can quickly understand what your social enterprise or your idea is all about, then I definitely recommend you to get in touch with Tom.
Yes, and yes, we do. Just to answer that question, we do talk about storyboards. Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. Sarah says, with training, do you need to have a project in mind, or is it general training?
No, so that you don't have to have a particular project in mind. It is more of a 101 training. So it's like the bare basics. We provide you with a pack that basically has the tools to help you go away after the session and sort of bring your ideas to life, make them a reality, so that you don't have to have a particular idea in mind. There's no sort of restriction, limitation to that, so don't worry about that. I've just seen another question there. I can see your lighting at the background. Any recommendations what sort of lighting to get? Oh yeah, I forgot about that as well. We've got, where is it? Or an LED light up there. So actually, there we go. So we have a number of these light panels, LED light panels, that are battery operated, blinded, that can make you look super spooky on camera, that are relatively inexpensive. And if you're looking to, go serious with producing your videos, then I would definitely recommend it if you don't have that natural light that you can take advantage of. But what I would encourage you to do is to actually start making stuff without the gear, because it's all very well going out investing a load of money in gear, but actually if you can't even come up with a great video idea or video strategy, then there's no point in you having invested all of that money in that gear. So I would actually say, shoot a video on your phone, share it, see what the response is. The response might not be great, but it might give you that idea to go, no, I know what we need to do differently. I know what we need to achieve next time. So that's what I would encourage you to do before you invest in lighting. But these are by a company called Newer, N-E-W-E-R, and you can get them on Amazon, relatively inexpensive. You're sort of looking at maybe 100 or so quid for a couple of lights. Simon, I've seen your question. Any advice on microphones? So microphones, most of the time, I have an iPhone. Most iPhones have got a pretty decent microphone in them, but they're pretty decent if you're in a room like I am at the moment that's very quiet. I've just got my colleague Adam wandering around in the background. But if you've got that, then you can you're okay. You don't really particularly need to invest in a microphone, but there's a number of Rode microphones, so RODE. They're normally one of the sort of the favorites, that you can actually get that plug into a phone or something like that. You can also, as was kindly handed to me by Adam just now, you can also get yourself a little clip-on mic, so a little lapel mic, and you can actually buy these on Amazon, and you can get USB ones. So you can get it so that it plugs directly into USB into your computer, and you can record through your webcam, but with a lapel mic so that it actually sounds decent. And you can also get lapel mics that plug into a phone as well. So there's all sorts of different microphones that you can get, so your sound is a little bit better. Sarah, I've seen a question about booking a course. What I'll do is I'll send some details to Jane, and then we can make sure that's easy and make that happen. Hopefully you got the brand name of the light there.
That was great. Thank you.
Wonderful.
No problem.
Any other questions? No, so yeah, well, we can send details of Tom's offer around to you all, and I'm getting the webinars on the website later this week, so I'll email everyone who's registered with all the information and Tom's slides and everything, so you've got it all. Any other questions? No? Thank you so much, Tom. I didn't expect to learn so much. It was absolutely packed full of really useful advice, and I really hope some people come to you for some more expert training.
Good. Oh.
And also just to mention to you all, it's Social Enterprise Day tomorrow, so you could experiment with getting some content out there. Their hashtag is Who Knew, so you have to say who knew and then put a statistic or a quote about your work or your impact. If you have a look on the Enterprise UK website, they've also got their own video they're sharing online, so you could share that, share another video and see what response it gets on your social media.
Look at your demographics and
look at your demographics, insights. Yes, of course. Do strategy first this evening. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much, Tom, and thanks everyone for coming along.